Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Myra Salcido from University of Texas Permian Basin in my home office kitchen. As most teachers across the country are online from their homes due to the coronavirus, I have taken on a lot of responsibilities and even of one teacher's class and put it online during spring break. It took me about 30 hours of prep work getting that class together. So I fell a little behind in my other 4 classes, and yes, I have now more than 100 students. So I see some people are a little bit confused about the time periods in the Victorian era and the Romanticists. And your first paper's coming up, and even though the guidelines for the prompt are very strict, say pick one word from the Victorian era and one from the Romanticists, you can pick more than one if it makes your case. You could just try to find one element if you want, like the treatment of children, or the treatment of women, or even the treatment of men, gender, culture, religion, whatever you want to try to find works to prove your point. And some people are coming up with unusual ideas, and that's fine, as long as it involves critical thinking. And one thing that really complicates the issue for me is the Pre-Raphaelites. Now, this was a group of painters that did not like any of the paintings done after Raphael, a painter, started painting things in soft tones, losing the detail and things like that. And the Pre-Raphaelites wanted to go back to medieval themes, medieval detail work in paintings. These were a Victorian group that did this. So it's kind of confused people a little bit that here we have Victorians and we have themes like Mariana and the Lady of Shalott that are medieval themes, and they're actually romantic. The melancholy, yearning woman, yearning to be set free, staring at windows, into mirrors, and not being able to be free like a bird in a cage because they were in their private sphere. So it is the Lady of Shalott. Shallots are a type of onion, and if they had any in the grocery stores right now, I would have had some to hold up and show you. These are shallots. They're very good in food. And Shalott was the name of where she lived. So she was also an ethereal, supernatural creature. It says in the beginning of Tennyson's poem that she was a fairy who had been cursed to not leave her bower. And so the Lady of Shalott saw the world mirrored, reflected, and wasn't allowed to be in the real world. So when the curse came upon her, she ends up floating down the river to Camelot, and it's a very detailed painting, and this is as the blood freezes in her veins as she goes, as the curse comes upon her. So the Pre-Raphaelites were really unusual in that they found sick, dying, yearning, sad women as being romantic in a way. And they also were very detailed. They were known to spend 5 hours painting a section of blades of grass. And why did they do this? Well, the Victorians were a very visual era. Cameras were coming about, silhouette light shows, and they did not have, the internet, television, video games, things like that. So what they would do would go to galleries and spend hours standing in front of paintings and figuring them out. The paintings would tell a visual story, a visual rhetoric, if you will. So this is one example. John Everett Millay. And this is Ophelia. And she is from an older story, Shakespeare. And the botanical arts people and botanists everywhere use this as a record of the type of plant life that was in this area in the Victorian era, because it's so replicated to life. And they were also influenced by Alfred Lord Tennyson, who lived earlier than the Pre-Raphaelites, and he wrote The Lady of Shalott. And there are so many paintings that have come from that. And then also Mariana on the Moated Grange. The detail is just exquisite. There's the mouth upon the wainscot creaked. And what the Pre-Raphaelites tried to do was put every detail of what Tennyson had, or other poets had, into their paintings. And got all these Pre-Raphaelite books. And so this is another one of the Lady of Shalott in her bower, yearning to go to Camelot. And from my favorite picture, which I may have lost my place. Oh well, I'll save it for the next video. So anyways, there's a lot of themes, a lot of interesting themes with the Pre-Raphaelites. If you wanted to use as a work a painting and use visual rhetoric, which some people have done, you can do that. So I'm pretty wide open to topics. It has to be 5 to 8 pages, so you're going to need to have a thesis, have a main idea and main argument, pull in 2 different time periods and 2 different works and compare them, but have an argument. So it's just not a compare and contrast paper. It is more than that. It's an analysis of these works, how they relate, how they don't relate, how they diverge, or how they are amazingly similar. And if you want to use artwork, I'm open to that. I'm a visual rhetoric person, and I teach graphic novels. So yes, I am truly interested in visual as well as the verbal or the written rhetoric persuasion through poetry. And I will make another video on this. This was mostly to explain a little bit about the Pre-Raphaelites. They were a group of painters, a little bit wild, going out to the pubs and all that. And we have Dante Gabriel Rossetti, and his wife was Christina Rossetti, who wrote Goblin Market. So she was a little bit part of the Pre-Raphaelites, but she doesn't get a lot of mention because, hey, it's the Victorian era and it was mostly about the men. and the men were making it about women, and she was like considered the perfect pre-Raphaelite model because she was sickly. And women at that time had tuberculosis a lot. And to be thin, pale, and kind of sickly looking was an ideal. We have ideals about what beauty is now, and that was pretty much the ideal for the model for the Pre-Raphaelites. So, also, women were said to blush in the presence of their lovers. So that's a little bit about the Duchess poem we read about. My Last Duchess, because she blushed upon her cheek while she was being painted, was to make him think maybe she's in the presence of her lover, maybe the painter and her have something going on. So, that is an element. We have an unreliable narrator, which is the Duke. So, and there's a lot of reasons not to trust him. People pointed those out. But there also is this other side that, what do we really know about the Duchess either? That she was too quick to smile at men, women, I don't know. So I'm not a scholar on that particular poem, and I am more of a Pre-Raphaelite person. I have their paintings, reproductions of their paintings, and I would love to someday go to the museum and see in Europe and see their work. So this video is getting long, and I have neglected getting videos out, so I'm going to go ahead and send this around and look in your class and see what else you need to know. So I will see you at the next video.